Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Woodstock, Georgia, it's time for Cherokee Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
And welcome. We are live at the Cherokee Business Radio facility. Welcome to Fearless Formula on Cherokee RadioX, where we talk about the ups and downs in the business world and offer words of wisdom for business success. I'm your host, Sharon Klein, and our guest in the studio today is a realtor who serves the North Metro parts of Atlanta, Georgia. She's very passionate about serving her clients with honesty, transparency, and a high level of customer service. And although she specializes in helping first-time homebuyers, she is here for everyone. So we want to say hello to Carlyn Costo.
Hi, Sharon. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today was because, first of all, the whole housing industry, right?
Yes.
For years.
Yes.
But you're still kind of consider yourself a bit relatively new to the industry. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your history?
Yeah, so I got into the business in January of 2021, which was a crazy time to get into real estate. Now, a lot of people, they say, oh my goodness, what a great time to get into the business. And here I am like, well, little do you know, it was probably the craziest. I mean, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. Business has been good, but, you know, it has been tough. It has not been without challenge, let me tell you.
So it's interesting because you started after the pandemic, right?
Yes.
So, well, when pandemic started.
Kind of during the pandemic, yeah.
Right. So it started in the beginning it was, January, February, March of 2020.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so the next January is when you started.
Yes.
What made you want to get into the industry?
So I quit my full-time job with a large retailer in August of 2020, and I have always been interested in real estate. Some of my memories of growing up, my mom and I, in the neighborhood that we grew up in, we would always, for the 20 years that we lived there, they were still continuing to build houses. And so my mom and I, we would always go in and we would sneak into these houses, like illegally, basically. You can't do that nowadays. But we would go into all these houses, and I think that's kind of where my love of homes just started. And, you know, she kind of instilled in me this love of interior design. Like, you know, one of our favorite hobbies to do together is just go to all these home decor stores. You know, we're always at Home Goods. And so, I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with homes and interior design, and I've always had an interest in that. And so, yeah, basically in 2020, when I kind of realized I couldn't go any higher up on the corporate ladder, I decided to get into real estate. And I had a good friend who we both know, James, who was in real estate. And so it just was very intriguing to me. I've always loved helping people. That's like a huge passion for me. It kind of drives me with everything in my life. I just kind of, if I'm not helping, I feel like I'm not doing anything. And so it just gives me purpose. And yeah, it's a huge passion of mine to just help people. And so that's how I got in.
Well, it's kind of cool, too, because I was thinking about this earlier, how you're a younger person in this industry, and you are dealing with veterans, and I don't even exactly know how long someone needs to be in the industry to be considered a veteran.
I mean, you get a lot of these, you know, older agents who they are constantly boasting about, you know, being 20 years in the business and all of this, and all that's great. But, you know, it's tough because I haven't had 20 years to be in the business. I'm only 25. So, you know, when you're comparing apples to oranges, it's kind of, you know, it stinks. It's not the best. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough, especially because I look like I'm 16. So, seriously, like, everybody questions my age. And so I feel like when you are younger and you're trying to be super professional, and, you know, it's tough. People don't take you seriously when you look younger than you are. Like, people are always shocked when I say I'm 25. They're like, oh my goodness, I would have never guessed. And I'm like, yeah, you know, get in line. That's everybody. But yeah, so, you know, just a few years, I don't know. Real estate, you know, it's not measured by the time that you're in it. It's more so, you know, your view on it and how serious you take it, in my opinion.
Well, I imagine there's a huge degree of involvement with different realtors and sellers agents and buyers agents, and what that must be like given your work ethic and then someone else's. So I imagine even at your age, having the perspective that you do and the passion that you do, having to interact with another agent that doesn't have sort of the same thought process about how important it is to be reachable and responsive, I guess. Yeah. Is that the right word? Responding to you?
Yeah. I always say, no two agents are the same. So there's a lot of people that get into real estate and it's just a hobby to them. And I'm not here for it to be a hobby. This is my career. This is my, full-time job. And I take it very seriously. So, it's tough when not every agent tackles or handles their business the same. A lot of people, they don't care. This is maybe for fun for them or more so a hobby. But yeah, I'm trying my best and...
Well, I think that's interesting. It's something to think about. The fact that this is something that is almost like, well, with my extra time, I'm going to sell houses.
Yes.
Whereas for you, and probably many other people, it's very serious. It's your livelihood.
Yeah.
It's your everyday. I was thinking about this too, how you don't ever get to say, it's Sunday, it's my day off.
I know. That's what I say a lot of times to anybody who's kind of looking to get into the business, because, I think a common misconception about the real estate industry is that we have a lot of flexibility, which, we do, but we don't have freedom. So I think that's definitely a misconception. Yes, are there Saturdays and Sundays where I don't do anything? Absolutely. Tomorrow will be one of those days. I've got family coming in town and, I just happen to have, all my ducks in a row. But that's not every Saturday. And real estate is a lot of times night times and weekends. And so, and I think that's, another reason why it is, it gravitates towards a lot of people who want to do it part-time. But, this is an industry that it kind of takes, if you take it as seriously as I do, it takes your 100% of your focus and your energy and your time, and you're constantly consumed. At least for me, I'm constantly consumed by it. I'm always checking the MLS. I'm always doing something. I'm either creating content or emailing or phone call, just whatever I can do. But yeah, it's definitely tough when there's part-time agents and there's a lot of agents too that'll only work 9 to 5. But I always share with anybody who wants to get in the business that yes, we've got flexibility, but we do not have freedom.
Is there something that you wish you knew back when you were getting started, that someone could have told you that could have helped you out that you know now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, and this is kind of a life thing, that your mindset is everything, So if you don't have the right mindset, you won't be successful really in anything you do. So, I think that was probably the toughest thing, the toughest obstacle I had to overcome last year, with last year being my first year in real estate. That, everything is kind of long-term. Nothing is short-term. Nothing is quick. And, we live in a world where everything is, instant gratification. We want things instantly. We want them now. We want, Postmates and Netflix and, the next episode, the next season, and whatever it may be. And so I think that's so easy to just have the mindset of like, okay, what's my next thing? But for me, I'm constantly focusing on the bigger picture and the long term. And, I think I've adjusted my mindset, at least last year. It was a huge thing for me to do and to prioritize, because truly, if you do not have that mindset that, your real estate business is everything's for the long term, you will not make it.
You'll just get so beaten down emotionally.
Yes.
I find the same thing for me when I'm doing voiceovers, when I'm trying to audition, and I just do the best I can. And then I just send it out there and just hope that someone likes it. And you just never know if it's going to have anything with fruition. Yep. Obviously you learn everything that you're doing, and probably every house you look at, you download something you like or not like about it, whether you sell it or buy it or whatever. Yep. But, I wanted to ask you as well, who is a mentor of yours? Well, no, I actually want to ask you about marketing a little bit, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
You had talked about how you have all of these different things that you're thinking about constantly.
Right.
And
Yeah.
if you're not actually walking through a house or directly dealing with a client, you are thinking about your business.
Right.
What is that like? What do you have to do?
So are you asking more so for like, let's say like today, for instance?
Yeah,
I did
an
not
example.
look at any houses. Okay. So today, or at least for me, I always have some bit of content creation in my day. That is very important to me and my business. And I understand, the fact that consistency is key. So if you're not consistent, you're not out there, you're not building trust or value with, your customers. And so I'm always wanting to do something, at least in my day, that benefits me. So whether that's, connecting with somebody, following up with people who maybe 6 months ago said, hey, I am looking to buy in August, and I end the conversation by saying, okay, I'll follow up with you at the end of July. I make sure that, I've got those things. I will get things organized, paperwork, I do emails, whatever. Let's say if I'm in the middle of a transaction, I've got to follow up with those types of things. It's kind of just the day-to-day little tiny tasks that collectively form to build out my day. Now, the thing about real estate, like I said, there's a lot of flexibility. So, I may not work 8 hours in a day, but there are certainly days where I wake up and real estate's all I've done all day. So like given let's say I've got a few transactions going on at once, that's a lot in a 30-day time span to, kind of sit down, organize, make sure all the time frames are going well, anything in the contract that needs to be done is being handled, that I'm connecting with the closing attorney, the lender, my clients, everybody on a regular basis. But yeah, so really the only consistent thing I do in my day is going to be content creation. So Instagram, that's really primarily where I live. I'm trying to go out to TikTok, but it's a little intimidating. It's a little bit scary. So I'm trying to get there, but, yeah.
Do you feel like there, I don't know if it's your generation or if it's, I think it's just the nature of our world is so social media.
Yes, it is.
Do you feel like there are some real estate agents or realtors that don't use social media?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
How hard is it? Is it harder for them, do you think?
I think so, just because, I'm kind of one of those people that if I'm not learning and I'm not constantly growing, I'm not becoming better. So another thing that I do constantly in my day is I'm always listening to podcasts. I'm always wanting to be the most educated. And like I said, if I'm not learning, then I'm not growing. So for me, social media is integral. Now, for another agent who, let's say they've been in the business 25 years, it's much harder to adapt. But you've got to adapt with, and I'll say this also, maybe like a 50-year-old is not going to be going after the same type of clientele that I'm going after. So I know my niche market, and I know that, my niche is going to be those first-time buyers. Now, yes, I can help anybody and everybody in the state of Georgia, but, just with my age, I know that those are the types of people who are going to gravitate towards me. And so I think that video is essential, especially short form video. That's kind of where everything is geared towards right now. And a lot of people my age, and I'd say most millennials, are going to Instagram or social media to find, whatever it may be. So realtors included, so I think that it's a huge part of business, but not every agent does it. Some agents are definitely stuck in the older marketing ways, and that's okay because, everybody runs their business differently. Everyone's going to have a different perspective on it, and no two agents are the same, so nobody's going to have the same business plan. But yeah, for me, it's huge.
Well, you're going to be helping me, I think, in the future.
Yes.
Not all radio hosts know how to do that either.
Oh, my goodness.
It's so true. I need help, girl.
I got you.
Well, okay, so now, thank you. I wanted to ask you, who are your mentors? Who help kind of guide you?
I don't want to say nobody, because I mean, I wouldn't really say I've got a mentor. So I did have a mentor at my previous brokerage, and she was wonderful. She was amazing. But, like I said, there are no two similar agents. So it's really hard to align yourself with somebody else's business who you're not going to structure your business their way. So, yeah, they can have, advice and ideas, and they can, kind of point you in a certain direction. But I think at the end of the day, it's really about asking yourself how you want your business to look, and what's important to you, what kind of values are matter to you. So I mean, this is kind of silly, but a lot of my mentors that I guess would say people who I idolize and that I want to align my business with have podcasts, and I listen to them. So, or somebody like Ed Milet, if you haven't listened to his podcast, I highly recommend. He is amazing, life-changing. But I mean, I listen to like Tom Ferry. I listen to Brian Buffini. I don't know if you've heard of Brian Buffini, but he is another huge real estate mogul. And he is kind of also in the space of like lifestyle and just living a good life. He just changed his podcast title to actually like living the good life or something like that. He's all about that. It's a lot of, just wellness within as a person, and always becoming a better person, and just being smart and wise about business. And and then, I mean, there's a lot of people, but there's an agent, her name's Casey Rutherford. I love how she runs her business. She is a lot of times on social media, and that's kind of how she gets a lot of her clients. And so, yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had the one mentor, Karen. Shout out to you, Karen. You're amazing. And I love you, but, it's definitely tough because, real estate is a self-employed business at the end of the day. I work for myself, and, every agent works for themselves. So unless you're on the team, but, yeah, I mean, it's a tough question.
It is, imagine, because like you said, you've got a lot of different resources.
Yeah.
I love the notion of someone promoting a lifestyle of balance and health, because I can imagine
it's so important.
Yeah, you don't have the days off, like I was saying, so you could get sucked in at 3 a.m. because a house went on live or something.
I'll be asleep at 3 a.m., but
I wish I were.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I also wanted to ask you, what do you think has been the most challenging? Is it balance?
No, I'd say there's a lot that's challenging about real estate. And I think the most challenging part about real estate is that nobody knows how challenging it is. It's tough, and you constantly have to, like I said, you've got to have the right mindset. You've got to understand that everything that you do you're going to have results in 60, 90, 120 days, 365 days. I mean, I've had people where I've spoken with them for leading up to maybe about 7 months before, I just sold a house, and that was like a 7-month thing. So that's really tough. I think the other thing that's really tough, and it's kind of funny because you mentioned this on your previous radio show, but is just feeling kind of, what's the word?
Imposter syndrome?
Yes, thank you so much. It's imposter syndrome because, and especially with social media in this day and age, I never ever want to come off like, life is amazing, because we all have our, tough times. We all go through things in life. So a lot of times on social media, it can kind of come off like it's easy and it's fun, and, you're making all this money, which you're not. And, I think it's just, there's several things that are challenging, but if I had to choose one, it would probably be the imposter syndrome, because I get a lot of times like, oh my goodness, you're killing it, you're doing so great. And while I am the toughest person on myself, and I don't think I am, So, I don't know. There's a lot to real estate. There's so many pros and there's a lot of cons, but, I mean, I I think just real estate as a whole, it's tough, you know?
Well,
you compare yourself. You compare yourself so much to other agents. And kind of like what I was just saying, most agents, that's what they use social media for. It's a, you know, shouting from the rooftops, look how great I am, because you want people to use you. So I think that's kind of tough to see every day from all these agents that I follow. And, you know, I love following other agents. I love connecting with other agents. I think we can all, you know, help each other. I have several agents who I meet up with, you know, on a weekly basis to go get coffee, and we just chat all things real estate. But, you know, it's tough when you're comparing yourself to people who are ahead of you, who maybe got in the business 5 years ago. And, you know, I understand when you say it out loud, you can't compare yourself to somebody who's been in the business for much longer than you, because you haven't had that time. But, you know, comparison is the thief of joy. And I try to just, you know, remember that always. And I try my hardest not to compare. But, you know, some days that gets you down, and you've got that imposter syndrome that creeps up.
I told you. I think I live in imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I think we all do.
I wonder when they're going to bust down the door and drag me out of here. How did they let you in here?
Oh my goodness! No, I mean, truly, I think there's an element of imposter syndrome in all of us. I think we all think that way. But you know, at the end of the day, you just got to recognize you are awesome and you're doing your best. And you know, your best might not be somebody else's best, but hey, you are doing your best, and that is all you can do.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, I am speaking with Carlyn Costo. She is a realtor here in Georgia. And I was thinking how the pandemic has made things so difficult in so many aspects of our lives, but in particular, it was just super, super hard on your industry.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen happen? And I know it's changing even as we speak, but that's part of it, right? It's like so volatile and unpredictable.
Yep. There's a lot out there right now about the market. And I mean, you know, real estate is so hyper-local. So me commenting is kind of more so about like Cherokee County, because that's really, you know, like my hub. But yeah, the pandemic, I think, you know, we had a really slow moment in like March of 2020. And then by, I think it was like June of 2020, things like sped up. So what we thought was a terrible market in 2020 turned out to be an amazing market, right? So 2021 was the toughest year to buy, which is weird when you bought. And this year, honestly, it has gotten tougher each year.
Really?
So I would say, really this year has been the toughest. I've had buyers like waiving everything and it is insane. Yes,
I was reading.
But we are no longer there.
Really?
Yes, you'll get my email newsletter. And so, we have seen a huge shift,
How long is this shift? Yeah, it was like a couple weeks.
So, nobody can predict. All we can do is kind of look at the data of where we are at now. But I would say, as for right now, and this is so dependent on the house, the condition of the home, the location, the price range. It's so different in the below 300 from the 300 to 500, and then from the 500 plus. Even million over. All those markets very different. They could be the same location, very, very different markets. So, it's tough to say, but I think with let's talk about interest rates, I guess. They were so artificially low in the twos. That is artificial. That's not, that's not something that's going to be productive longevity. It's kind of difficult when a lot of people, especially my age, we heard about the twos and the threes, and we are no longer there. We are in the fives. I think I just saw this morning, it was like 5.33, which is really good. Historically, that is an amazing interest rate. But, when you've got people comparing it to the twos and threes, they think it's terrible. But, a common saying in the real estate industry is to marry the home and date the rate. And it's so true. You cannot predict, what's going to happen. But if you are financially ready and you're prepared to buy a house, get in the market, get in there, buy a house, because, there's nothing better than buying real estate and waiting. Are there going to be ups and downs and ebbs and flows? Yes, absolutely. And especially with our market right now, like we are heading towards a recession. Some may say we are in a recession. And I'm not going to, say we're not, because we pretty much are. But, all the data just says right now that home prices are still going to go up. Interest rates, they are kind of on the rise. I've seen some interesting data these last few days that they should kind of top off in the 5s. So in December of 2022, we're looking around the 5.2s, which again it's all, a prediction. We never know. They could be, wrong. Who knows? But that's what the data is saying. And, historically, a home is, it's a huge asset against inflation. It's your largest asset against inflation. And your home, it appreciates. And we're not going to see depreciation this year. We're not supposed to see it really any year coming soon. So, it's been tough. It's been crazy. I think that is why the market went where it did, because of those artificially low rates. Who can afford a house really at a 2% interest rate? You're basically stealing money at that low of an interest rate. But now we're in the 5s. It's kicked out a lot of buyers, which, is really sad. I know it's really tough for people right now, especially with rentals. Oh my goodness, I've had friends who cannot find places. It's heartbreaking, and I wish I could change it. I literally told a friend the other day, I said, if I had all the money in the world, I would be a builder and I would build cute as heck little 2-bed, 2-bath homes. I want just like a little cottage. That's all that the first time buyer needs most of the time. But they're not doing that.
Do you think people have unrealistic expectations?
Yes. Yes. Especially, when you're a first-time buyer, you've got to look at a house as a building block. It is a stepstone to get you into another house. So as long as you're in that first home for 2 years, you are good to go. You've got to stay there 2 years, and that is it. After that 2-year mark, you can move. And you can move before the 2-year mark, but you've got to pay the capital gains tax, which nobody wants to pay. So that is not my advice. Do not move before 2 years. You don't want to pay that. But, I think that just with, all these shows that we've got in social media and, all the stuff, Pinterest, and, everybody's got unrealistic expectations. And, I'm even in that because, I look at all these houses all day long and I'm like, oh my goodness, the pretty white and the wood beams and the gorgeous shaker cabinets. Yeah. And oh my goodness, the quartz countertops, and oh my gosh, look at this faucet and the light fixtures and all these things. But, realistically, you've got to think of ways to increase the value of your home. So let's say you get into a home and it's not, the perfect, house. A, it's a building block to your next home. And B, the fun of a home is making it yours. So, throw up an accent wall. That's super cheap, super easy to do. Paint can really, really lift and increase what a home looks like. Slap some white paint on the walls or whatever, paint color it might be. It can change the whole room. Same with light fixtures. I don't think anybody pays as much attention to light fixtures as I do, because a light fixture can change the whole room. Same with furniture, it's about maximizing your natural light, and playing off of that. That can make a space look bigger and wider and lighter and brighter. And when we feel like that, we feel more comfortable in our home. And, there's just, there's certain things that you can do to, make your home your own. But also you've got to realize that your first home is a building block and a stepping stone to your next one.
Such a good point. It's small things that they can do that's not going to break the bank that will make a big impact.
Yeah.
What do you think is your biggest mistake? Are you okay for
my
me
biggest
to ask
mistake?
That?
Well, is it okay for me to say that? I don't really have one.
Oh, what? That's awesome.
I don't know. That's like a terrible answer. I don't want you people to think I don't make mistakes.
It's a real answer, though, because so far you're still new in the industry, and so far you're just trying to do as much as you can to not have a big mistake.
I'll say this. I'm very aware of myself. But I will say the number one mistake that I made, and I've touched on this, is my mindset when I first got into the business. Just like so many others, you know, you think, oh my goodness, I'm going to be closing homes left and right and everyone's going to use me. And that is not true. You'll find out very, very, very quickly that nobody trusts you. You've got to, you know, spend that time and, you know, build your trust and your value. And no one's just going to hand you the keys to, you know, their largest financial asset to sell or, you know, help them buy if you don't know anything. So I would say my mindset in the beginning, it was a very tough obstacle to overcome.
So you know the show, obviously, Fearless Formulas. We talk about a lot about ways that anybody in a business can kind of get knocked down, and even mentally, not just something that's a major event that happened, but just mentally get knocked down. What do you do to get yourself out of a mindset that is not conducive to building your business?
I would say, great question. Oh my goodness.
That you think I have good questions.
Oh my gosh, you've had the best questions. I would say, I'm a big podcaster, so I would either go to listen to a podcast or, you know, you hear a lot about like journaling and meditating, and I've recently just kind of realized how large of an impact that has on your life. I don't know, just kind of being really aware with yourself. And when you get into a negative thought loop of thinking, you know, I'm not enough, or I'm not worthy for this, or I don't deserve this, or why does, you know, life suck, or, you know, why this, why that, you know, turn it into what can I learn from this? What can I do to benefit from this? What can I do today to help myself be better? It's all about mindset. I mean, really, like, your mindset is so important in life. I mean, it is everything. So if you can get like a handle and a grasp on your mindset, you know, you'll be okay.
I'm going to take that to heart. I can use some adjustments in my mindset. Oh
my gosh, we all can.
Well, you know, it's very easy, particularly for me, to get in my own loop in my head about the things I do wrong.
But see, if you stop that loop and you recognize that you're in a loop and you say, you know what, I'm not going to be negative anymore. And you stop yourself right there and you say 3 positive things or what you're grateful for. You know, that does wonders for your brain and your mind. And you know, or, I would love to say this. Recently, you know, everyone's walking. But I mean, you know, I've always grown up with my parents who they walk like 5 or 6 miles a day, like every day. And so, I mean, just with all these podcasts that I listen to, I've just really realized the importance of getting outside in nature, moving your body. It doesn't matter if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, anything will help. So if I'm like in a really bad mindset and I'm really upset, or, you know, I've had a terrible day, you know, you get ghosted a lot in real estate, and you have a lot of people who say that they'll, you know, buy or sell with you, and then you don't hear from them for 2 weeks, and then you see on their Instagram that they bought or sold with another agent, and then you're like, okay, you know, and that hurts. So, you know, going for a walk, that does wonders for you.
Oh, I love that. I know there are some endorphins that, you know, get released and can be helpful. I'll be doing that shortly as well as I get out of physical therapy. But no, and I'm looking forward to it because I can tell in my own mind that I feel like very out of touch with my body at the moment, and how that affects a lot of the way that I think. Like, this is the first thing I think about when I get up in the morning. It's the last thing I think about. What did I do today? Did I do anything physical to try to get me to connect back again? Because when you get an injury and you're told not to move, it makes it really challenging. I didn't even realize how much that affected my mindset. So I value that, and I'm glad that you have that experience, even for me to say, yep, I know Carly said it was good. Wait, is it okay if I call you Carly as opposed to Carlyn?
Oh my goodness, of course, yes.
I didn't really specify.
No, oh my gosh, I tell everyone, I don't listen if you call me Carly or Carlyn. I hear like the first part, and then I turn my attention. I'm like,
How hard is it to have repeat customers? Have you had any yet? What do you do so that, because it's an industry that doesn't, obviously you buy a house and you've got 7, 8 years. What is the average that people keep their homes? I don't even know.
Yeah. So it used to be, I want to say like 7. The number, I mean, you ask, 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different responses.
Okay.
Sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's, lesser than that. The trend usually is a lot of first-time buyers will hold their home for 2 to 3 years and then sell. But I mean, that doesn't take up a huge, or the larger part of the market. So I'd say about 7 years. That's about the average across the United States.
And you keep in touch with your clients, just in case. And also for referrals, is that right?
Yes. So referrals are super, super important in real estate, or at least if you want to run the business like I want to run my business. So I'm strictly, word of mouth, referrals, sphere of influence. So sphere of influence is, all the people that you know. And then, of course, you rely on word of mouth and referrals from clients, past clients, friends, anybody who knows you. So I do a lot of I love pop buys, I've got one coming in August or September. It'll be s'mores. But I love cute little marketing things, sending out little postcards. I just did one with a lottery ticket in it. I had a few different past clients send that to me that they won $1, $5 or whatever off the scratch off. That was really cool. But I heavily rely on that. That's really just how I run my business. A lot of agents, they pay for leads, or they'll go door knock and they just do a whole entire community of 90 homes and they go to every single door. That is not me. I know that about myself, and I want to work with people who know, like, and trust me at the end of the day. So that's where it's so important for past clients and things to do that. But for them to do that, they've got to remember you. You've got to keep in contact. You've got to continue touching them, which is something that we say in real estate, a touch. It just means sending something in the mail, or doing a pop by, or doing a phone call or text or whatever it may be, just to say, hey, I appreciate you, and I hope you're doing well. So yeah.
I love it because it's all about relationships.
Yes.
Right? So, and that's such a cute way. How do you get your ideas? Coming up with a lottery ticket idea and sending a little card out. How do you come up with those?
Well, I cannot take credit for that. It's from a website. So one of my favorite websites, it's called Market Dwellings. Cutest marketing, mailers and cards and all of this stuff. But I kind of knew as soon as I got in the business that this is kind of how I wanted to set my business up. Very, like you said, relationship. It's so focused on relationships. So that's really how I do that. Now, I mean, it does come down to my idea with how I want to utilize the card. I didn't have to put, I guess, a lottery ticket in there, but I did. Yeah, I could put a gift card in there. I could do whatever I want. But yeah, I cannot take credit, unfortunately, because it's just an easy fix. If I were to spend time creating all of that stuff, oh my goodness, I would spend hours. I'm such a perfectionist. So, I mean, it's hard enough to create anything on my Instagram. If I had to create that, oh my gosh, I would never get it done. Let me tell you.
Well, and there's so many different ways. Everything's so visual.
Yes.
Everything's so visual. So there's so many different ways to market that.
Right.
I haven't even begun to think about it. I'm just I guess I'll just show up and hope it works.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and when you're getting started at anything, there's going to be a learning curve. You're gonna figure out what works best for you, what you like, what you don't like. What you want people to think of when they think of you. So I wear a lot of pink. I always usually have a pink water cup with me. I have a pink laptop, pink, I literally half my closet is pink. Yes, I mean, I love pink. But, it's funny because a lot of people know that about me and will send me random pink things. So I tend to kind of utilize that sometimes in marketing. I'm very girly, I love that. I just love cute stuff.
Well, what do you think is a common misconception about what it's like to be you in this industry?
That it's easy, I would say. Yes.
So anyone out there that's listening that is feeling defeated in some way or feels like there's something wrong with them because they're not succeeding super hard like they thought, what would your advice be to them?
My advice would be that's a great question. I mean, I know I keep harping on this, but just coming back to mindset. I mean, you get your mindset right, you will get your life right. And I firmly believe that. And, if there is one thing that you can do positive for yourself every day, do it. I mean, it can be as small as just smiling at yourself in the mirror. I don't know. I just heard that on a podcast. So I just regurgitated it to you, but
it's your idea. It's your idea.
Yeah. She's like the number one, it was like Coldwell Banker's, president or whatever. I guess her name was Betty Graham. And oh my gosh, cute as a button. I just listened to an interview with her, and that's what she does every morning. She goes to her mirror and she smiles at herself, and she says that's the nicest thing that you can do for yourself, and it starts your day off, well. And if you start your day on a positive note, you will have a positive day, most likely.
That's so sweet because it's free.
Yes. It's easy.
And you can do it yourself.
Yes, exactly. But yeah,
Probably don't even know how much that would impact someone's just mindset. And
right. And it's even like, goes back to, I don't know if you've heard this a lot, but again, I'm constantly listening to podcasts, and, what I am attracted to in podcasts is everything about mindset and, business and wisdom and just aligning yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. I mean, you've got to be in such alignment to carry on, I feel like, just like a happy, positive life. And I mean, I'm not there yet. I'm still on my little journey here with it. But I just find it so interesting and intriguing that, everything that you do in your day, those little minuscule tasks or, the way that you talk to yourself, they all build up. So if you're not, talking to yourself positively, in your head, obviously not out loud. Maybe some people talk to themselves out loud.
Oh, I do.
I'm like such a berater in my mind. I'm like, the hardest person on me is me. And if you feel that and you connect with that, get out of your brain and just realize that you are awesome. You can do anything that you put your mind to. And it doesn't matter how hard it is. If you have got your mind set on it, you can achieve it. And it doesn't matter if you don't know how you're going to get there, because you will get there once you focus. There's this quote that says, what you focus on expands. And it is so true. And it's just kind of like the law of attraction. What you put out there, you get back, you receive. So, if you are struggling and you have started like a new career, or you're just having, a tough time in life, we all go through those things. Really kind of just try to connect with yourself at your core and, just speak kindly to yourself, even if that's one little tiny thing that you do in your day, do it. Read a book, read Atomic Habits. Read, we have gotten so far from like reading books. I've been so excited because as of lately, I feel like that's kind of like a trend, I guess, quote unquote, is to read. Yeah. Like, everyone's reading right now, which is amazing. Yeah. But yeah, read a book, do something that's good for you, go out on a walk, and connect with yourself. I don't know.
I think that's the best advice. And I love that you're actually helping people right now, hopefully out there. You're putting out there into the universe some very positive and hopefully practical tips for people who struggle.
I mean, I hope so.
I'm going to take them. If anyone wanted to contact you, what would be the best way?
The best way, I guess you could connect with me on Instagram. You can find me at Your Realtor Carlyn. Carlyn is Carlyn. That is my Instagram. If you want to email me, it's that same thing at gmail.com. And we can go from there.
Yay! I hope you do get some really great business, and I appreciate you taking time to kind of spread something positive out there too, and give some people words of encouragement, because I know I can use them, and
we can all use it.
Everyone out there can too.
It's tough, yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on. It's been so fun, and you're just such a joy.
Oh, so are you. Mutual admiration society. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us on Fearless Formula. And again, this is Sharon Klein reminding you that with wisdom and understanding, we can all have our own fearless formula. Have a great day.